Hello, and once again, welcome. My name is Maggie Chula, and I am the host of Maggie's Spiritual Connections. I want to thank you, all of you, who are on the line listening to me tonight, and I want to thank all of you who will be listening in the future. And in addition, I would like to acknowledge the beautiful, wonderful, angelic realm and the guides and the masters of the Akasha. Tonight, I was guided to talk about living a spirit-centered life. What does it mean to live a spirit-centered life? What would happen within your life if you looked at everything in connection to how your spirit is evolving? But just a moment, let me take and share with you that this is Maggie Chula, and my website is acenterforenlightenment.com, fully spelled out, acenterforenlightenment.com. And I am a spiritual teacher, but I'm also a psychic and an intuitive healer. And I have always looked at life as if we were in an earth school, as if this life here were a part of the school of the learning for my soul. So I want to be clear, and I would like to start with some of the verbs, some of the words that I use quite regularly. Now, I do dialogue with a Council of Light, and my Council of Light does involve archangels, ascended masters, and also gods and goddesses. To me, they are more than just archetypes. Archetypes are energy grids, energy patterns. So when I say archangel, you have an impression and an understanding of what that means. You may or you may not know about the archangel Gabriel. But if you did, you would know that Gabriel was the messenger of God. Gabriel is the archangel that helps us with our communication. But that knowledge and understanding can also be considered an archetype, meaning we all have an agreement about what that is. And so, when I tune in to the Akasha, a place where that's a vibrational space, I tune in to the energy of my soul, realizing that we are all soul beings, that this human part of us is just a part, a reflection of our soul. And in order for us to be here now, a part of our soul is here with us, and that part of our soul we all agree is called our spirit. So this soul and this spirit is talking about a show that wants you to think about what would it be like if every action you have, all the thoughts, all the conditions, all the choices that you make, you are very much aware that you are a soul being and that you are living a spirit-centered life. Let me put this a little bit more into perspective. When you are fully and completely in tune with your soul, you have a reason for choosing to incarnate on this planet Earth. You have a reason for becoming who you are today. For many of us, that reason is to experience and to grow our own being and our own understanding of what life is, about who we are, and about what we understand. And so, going by that, let's say that I, Maggie, came here with the understanding that I chose to be a teacher, that I chose to teach people how to connect up to that energy where their soul resides. And that is indeed what I've done, and it is what I am creating through my work with the Akashic Vibration. Now, living this soul-centered life, this spirit-centered life, means that when I go and I interact with someone, if they're in a disagreement with me, I don't just, as Maggie, look at it and say, my goodness, what's going on here? This person is disagreeing with me. What a grump they are. I might say that. But I also try to look at it from their angle. What's going on? What's happening in their life? And how does this have a reflection for what's going on and what happens in my life? And I do hope that that makes a little bit of sense. So as I said, this is working and talking about living that soul, spirit-centered life. And let's take this to some of the things that have happened lately. Now, as we all know, a really big shift is happening on the world, and that happens to deal with religion. What is going on with religion versus what is going on with spirituality? Religion is very much a human, man-made understanding. And so we see that from a human perspective, the Pope of the Catholic Church has chosen to step down. That seems unbelievable to many people, since it hasn't happened in hundreds of years. But if you look at it from the more fragile human perspective, it makes sense that a person of his age and with his mental reasonings diminishing would choose to step down so that this beautiful church that he loves, this religion that he loves, could be run and directed by someone who has more energy, more intellect, and more conscious focus than he has. So that is from a human perspective. Should you be a person in your 80s with a large amount of power, you might choose that and actually understand that that was the best choice for your world, for your work, and for your religion. But if you look at it from that greater perspective, look at it from that spiritual perspective, you start to think and understand that within the level of the church, a lot of changes are taking place. The world is opening up. It isn't quite as necessary anymore for a certain level of people to be in control and charge of another group of people. At the time, hundreds of years ago, we were less sophisticated as a people, and there were less choices and ways for people to get information. And so it made some sense that there would be a group that would want to come together to help educate or train other people in the ways of how to give service and comfort to another through the belief of a God, a belief of a supreme being. And that what grew was they also chose to spread the information that in order to talk to this beautiful supreme being, you needed to have a great deal of education, training, special training, and the special training then would help you be able to talk to the supreme being, but other people then could work with you and you could help them connect up, but they couldn't or they shouldn't do it their own way or by themselves. Now, this is a small history and just a subset of probabilities of what happened to create this wonderful, beautiful religion, which then became the Catholic Church. Now, another thing that happened with that was it became a way of a community. People had a way to go to this beautiful place of worship. In many cases, the cathedrals and the churches of Europe or of Asia, these beautiful temples, were some of the most wonderful places around. And so it became almost a community thing. People would come together and they would be able to be in a state where they felt comfort and also where they felt a sense of belonging. And along with that, then, these beautiful clergymen or ministers or priests or priestess would help us all feel a connection with something greater than ourselves. But through the ages of time and through all the different understandings that have happened, we've come to learn that we don't need to go through anyone else in order to have this connection to this beautiful energy, this wonderful being or intellect that seems greater than ourselves. That there is a pattern in the world, there is a beautiful intellect within the world, and that this is something that we can all tap into. Now, as you go forward through hundreds of years, people started to really understand that they have this connection themselves. And if you get to the year 2013, where we are now, many, many of us not only understand that, but we know how to tap into it. And if you are listening to any metaphysical shows or talks, you can see that there are quite a few people now who talk to angels, who not only believe in them, they talk to them, they experience them, and they also are able to receive miracles. And that's a wonderful thing. But then you'll always have those who feel that that is somehow not right, that you do need to go through these certain groups of people, and you do need to be taught how to pray, how to save yourself, how to save your soul. Well, this conversation is really about thinking about this from a different level, not a level of religion, but a level of spirituality. So what is the difference? The spirituality and that level of thinking causes all of us who talk about that to start from a place that says, we know we have a soul. We understand that we are greater than this physical presence. And so taking it just from my own personal perspective and who I am, I would say, I know that I, Maggie, have this beautiful soul. This soul resides on the Akasha. These are my words. These are my beliefs. And in this Akasha, which is a vibration where my soul resides, I have access to all of the beautiful knowledge of the universe. Anything that has ever been thought, anything that has ever existed, exists within this vibration, and I have access to it. And you have access to it. And your children have access to it. And it is not denied to any person, nor is it the exclusive property of any specific person. Now, from my understanding, there are ways and there are tools that can help us know that and keep that in our conscious mind as we go through our day. So, when things happen to you, you can look at it from that higher perspective. For example, I have a woman that I have worked with who was a very young widow. Her husband died, and he did her, they were very much in love, and he asked her to never marry again. Now, the years went on, and she was young, and she did find someone, and she fell in love, which caused her great conflict. Here she loved her first husband. She wanted to be with him forever, but she ended up finding someone else and falling in love, but she didn't love him in the same way. And so she spent years being conflicted. Am I in love with my husband now? Is this somehow to the detriment of the love that I had with my first husband? But if you look at this from the spiritual angle, if you look at this from our higher perspective, what the angelic realm would say to us is, love is what's important. The vibration of love, the knowledge of love, the understanding of this beautiful way of living, of opening up your heart and sharing who you are completely with another. And when you do that, then you begin to realize love has many shades, has many degrees, and a lot of color, really, if you tune into the vibrational essence of it. And it should never be something that you regret. If you have the beautiful wonder and the ability to sense and feel another person to the degree that you love them and your heart opens and you feel this fluttering, it is a human perspective that would come to you that says, but this is not right because I have dedicated my life to this person. Really? You dedicated your life to this person, so you're supposed to be miserable forever while you're alive because you had 5, 10 moments in time, space of being happy? Does that make sense? No. And it isn't really about making sense. It's about us finally realizing that logic is not what we're here for. Logic, what is that? That's something where we put pieces together and they all seem to fit. If you go towards the more spiritual, transcendent life, it has to do with energy, has to do with emotions, has to do with feeling. Why would you come to this planet? Why would you incarnate on this earth if it weren't to feel? And some of our feelings are sticky and messy, and some of them hurt. But that in itself is a reason for being here. For everything that happens helps you to expand who you are, helps you to be and express yourself in a new and completely whole way. So as you think about the fact that you are a spiritual being, I know it was very trendy for a while there to say, I am a spiritual being having a physical existence, rather than a physical being having a spiritual existence. But that's true. That's very true. So thinking about that, thinking about the fact that you are more than the person who is listening to this radio show. You are more than the person who is listening. You are a conglomeration of many, many lifetimes and many, many experiences. If you can hold on to that understanding, and better yet, look within your heart and in your feelings and get a sense that that is true, then you have to start to look at and to think, what does my existence here on earth have to do with my soul? What can I, Maggie, do that would be worthwhile for this great and beautiful soul that is mine? And I have had people come to me because they have felt very concerned that what they are doing is not good enough for this understanding that they have, that they are this greater soul being, this greater soul presence. And I have to share that when we get to that, we're going into some mind candy, some brain candy, because the very understanding of being here and learning and just experiencing life in all of its messiness, in all of the painful encounters, that's why you're here. Yes, you may also, and you do, have a purpose beyond that. But that purpose for quite a few of us is to be, is to learn, is to experience different things. If you just take the example of love, so loving your spouse is a wonderful thing. Loving someone is very expansive. It's painful too. Many of us have had relationships, especially when we're younger, where you have loved someone and they have not loved you back, or someone, worse yet, loves you and you don't care for them. And I do say worse yet, because if you're in that situation, you feel badly that you can't love that person back. But you don't, and you want to be authentic with that. And so that gets to be a messy space. But in all of that beautiful, wonderful messiness, you tend to grow. So those of us who are walking around and are very fortunate enough to have a loving partner in our life, then we feel almost conflicted when something happens and you're not in that wonderful, loving space with your spouse 100% of the time. And how do you think that you can do that? Be in that perfect, wonderful, loving space 100% of the time. I don't know, but I can tell you, just like you, I've tried to. I have. And I love my husband. But there are times when we really need our space. And that doesn't mean that I'm going to walk away from him forever, but it does mean that there's a part of me that's saying, Maggie, come here. You haven't paid enough attention to me. So, love, in all of its wonderful stickiness, is here to help us grow. The other thing about that is many of us, as we grow older, begin to think, my parents did not show me enough love, or my brother was terrible to me, or this or that, or so-and-so happened, and on and on and on. The list is endless of all the things we can say that made us somehow victims. Because of that, I wasn't able to. Have you experienced that in your life? Because when I was little, I was not given enough love. Therefore, going through my life, I cannot give love to others. Okay, if that's a story playing over in your head, do you really want to go forward with it? Whatever your story is, whatever your reason is, whatever is going on in your head, I want you to think about this right now. Are you happy? Is the story that you keep saying over and over, whether it is true chronologically or not, is it something you really wish to continue with? Or is it something that we can start saying, wait a minute, hold on, let's go forward. How do I do that? So how in the world would that conversation bring you to being spirit-centered? Well, it brings you to being spirit-centered because you realize you have more going on than just the life you're living right now. Just the life you're living right now is wonderful, but sometimes we allow that ego part of us, that part that says this person's being mean to me, or my mother never loved me as much as she loved this person. we're allowing that little voice inside of us to help us then feel. And that's why I'm justified in. And when you get to those thoughts, and that's why I'm justified in overeating, and that's why I'm justified in being mean to this person, and that's why I am justified in feeling really betrayed by. When you get to any of those places in your life, you need to be able to have a break, to say, whoa, what's going on here? Is this really what I wanted? Is this where I want to go forward? Or have I just been taken over by some old tapes? Have I just allowed some old tapes to play out in my head, and once again I find myself in what I tend to call the victim mode? The mode of my parents weren't wealthy and I had to wear, hand-me-downs. Whatever your victim is. And so, our challenge in living a spirit-centered life is to say, you know what? I know that I have a higher soul. I know that I have this higher consciousness that people talk about. And I am a part of the divine. And if I have this higher consciousness, this soul, and I am part of the divine, and we are all a part of the same energy that creates worlds, then everyone around me also is a divine being and has a soul and has a purpose and has their path. And if that is true, then it is important for me to make sure that as I go forward on my path and my purpose, that I can be as authentic as possible. I can be as true to myself as possible. And so as you go through the day, sometimes you're going to have a bad day in Earth School. Sometimes that is going to happen. Something's going to happen and your life is going to shift and boom, it's bad. And you go down. But you need to understand this is a co-creative project. This is something that we are all here doing. But as we're doing it, we're really creating our own world. I'm creating mine, the one that says Maggie is a spiritual teacher. I'm creating that. And I say co-creating because I'm co-creating that with my higher self. And I happen to be blessed to be a person who has always felt in touch with that knowledge and that wisdom that there was more to life than what my physical eyes could share with me. Even at the tender age of 9 months old, I knew there was more to me than this. And that helped me through a lot of my life. And yet, I also ran from it because that was not normal. And I so wanted to be normal until about a couple of years ago. Really, that's when I said, why would anyone want to be normal? And what the heck is that? I haven't been able to find it in all these years. It might not actually exist. And that's my illusion. So I'm going to go back to my happy place, which is talking to my spirits, talking to the angels, feeling so connected up with everyone. I'm going to go back to that. And so I do. But let's get back to that bad day on Earth School. Now that can be a lot of different things. I think the bad day on Earth School for the Pope was when he got this report. That's what they've said. That's what the news has said. Some report came in. He read it. He didn't share it with others. He said his predecessor or his successor will then get this report and be able to deal with it. He had a very bad day on Earth School. But he did the right thing for him and for his world. He said, I'm older now. I'm at the end of my life. My energy isn't as good as it should be. And this really is a seriously important thing, that someone who has a greater connection to their now moment can take this and help this church and all of these beautiful people go forward. And if you look at it that way, it makes sense. But you could also go online. You can listen to the buzz in the network that says, oh, something happened because he knew he was going to be, they were going to bring up things that happened in his past. You know, there's always going to be people, no matter who you are, that are going to try to bring you down always. I'm not sure why that has to be, but it seems that it does. And so if that's happening to you, you don't have to be the Pope. You don't have to be the president. You can just be Maggie. And somebody somewhere will say, ooh, we don't like listening to her. Let's do whatever. But what I would say in my little bubble of my positive life and world is, you know what? I am connected to my higher self. I am connected to a divine order in life. Whatever it is that I have, that I can feel and sense, is so loving and calm and positive for me that it makes me feel good. It makes me feel centered and grounded. And I'm just going to live my life that way, with my beliefs, with my own expression, because that's all I know how to do. I don't know how to be someone else. It took me a long time to realize that even though I am, quote, unquote, psychic, I don't understand people, no one else. I wish I did. I studied my whole life. The mind, the human mind, psychology, oh my gosh, sociology, quantum physics, everything, to try to understand how people think. And I've come up with this understanding. We are unique. We are different. If snowflakes can all be unique, why the heck can't human beings? Of course they can. And so I'm going to understand that this person here that seems to be yelling at me, or this person here who seems to be like almost going purple with rage, is having a very bad day. And how can I help them? Because that's my normal, natural path. Well, how can I help them? And I've learned that there are ways I can help. I can help by staying focused and grounded in who I am. I can help by not giving energy to whatever is going on in that person. I can help by standing in my space and saying, here's some calming energy here. Why don't you try this for a few minutes and see if it helps you? But I want to do more than just be esoteric. I want to really help you see this from a, what if you are having that, oh my gosh, my kids are jumping off the walls, my spouse is drinking up all of his profits. You know, what if the world seems to be going really wrong for you? Well, even if that's true, even if everything is crumbling around you, you still have the greatest power you've ever had, which is your power to choose what are your actions and how are you going to behave and where do you go next. So the greatest analogy that comes to me is through working with my higher self. And my higher self always speaks to me in symbols and signs. And I believe that the angels and our higher wisdom does speak to us that way. And it's how we interpret it and how we choose to move forward that allows us to make the choices in our life. So I got this beautiful inspiration one day when I was feeling very disgruntled. It felt like my children didn't care for me. My choices in life weren't great. I left a really terrific job, paid good money to go do something that freaks people out. You know, it was like a all the way around choices weren't working out. I wasn't flowing. Wherever that river of well-being was, it wasn't within me. And I got this beautiful, beautiful sensation of the most glowing blue energy. I mean, I can't even tell you the color blue that it would correspond with, because it was so vivid and so almost alive. Anyhow, this blue energy came and shared with me a vision of the mall map. You know that mall map that says, "You are here. You are here." And I'm like, okay, I am here. What do you mean? And I felt in my mind this beautiful energy was saying, Maggie, remember, you are here. You are here with us in the Akasha. You are here on the physical plane. You are in multiple layers of time and space. And if something is not working for you, adjust your attitude. Adjust your thoughts. Allow your feelings to be. Have your temper tantrum. But when you're finished and you're exhausted, remember you are here. Well, it took me a few minutes, few days of thinking to go, okay, so I am here, I am here, I am here. All of my thoughts from the past have created this experience. I know this, I teach this is true. So what do I do to get out of this? Well, of course, you can do that quantum jumping, which I love, where you just sort of jump into the future and say, well, in the future I'm doing this. And I do love to do that, and I do think that that helps. But I chose instead to say, this is who I am today. I am a mother, and I love being a mother. I am a wife and a lover, and I adore my spouse. I am an intelligent person who can make their own way in the world. And I kept giving myself all these beautiful feelings of who am I that were positive, that made me feel good. And as I kept doing this and growing this, it was almost like I could feel the energy of multiple layers of legs, if you will, growing underneath me and helping me stand up straighter. And then I could sit down and say, now how am I going to get from here to where I want to go? Well, the first thing is to have a clear understanding of where are you going. And I really didn't. And I must say that now and then that happens to me because I am able to make my goals. If I have a goal, I can get to it. But sometimes I have the goal, I made the goal, and you know what I haven't done? I haven't prepared for that next goal. So my life has been a series of helping me understand how easy it is, really, for me to manifest what I am thinking about. And as I've been working with this energy, as I've been working with this understanding, it happens faster and quicker. But it also pushes me forward to do more. I find that for me, I need to do multiple things at once. If I have 4 or 5 projects going, I can get more done than if I have one. And the greatest minds in the world will say, you need one. If you have that one focus, zero in on it, and that's how you're going to succeed. And that's great, and that's wonderful, and for a good deal of people that will work. But it doesn't work for me. So in my quest to live a soul-centered, spirit-centered life, I had to come to the understanding of what was my truth. And my truth was, I am a loving being. I love people. I love animals. I love my crystals. I love my stones. I love things. I'm a perfect Pollyanna because I will see the positive in everything. It makes me feel good. Even in the things that happen that are not considered positive, in the accidents that you might see. Where will I see the positive in something that's horrific like that? I will see the beautiful, loving energies of the spiritual realm, of the angelic realm, helping and preparing. I will see those beautiful beings who are no longer on the earth, going to their beautiful spiritual home and being cleaned up and being able to be released and being able to meet and greet all their friends. I will rise above the sadness of what's going on here within my physical eyes and my physical presence to be able to see that greater, beautiful thing that's happening on the spiritual realm. That's what I like to do. But it doesn't mean that I am not listening. It doesn't mean that I'm pretending away things that trouble me. What it does mean is I'm choosing consciously to shift my focus onto things that make me feel empowered, that make me feel there is a reason for all of this. Okay, so I realize also that life is a journey. It's a journey about collecting all of these messy pieces. It's a journey about rolling the dice of fate, and what are you going to do now? What's going to happen? So you have this beautiful love in your life, and he's taken from you suddenly. I am grateful that I was just going to say I'm grateful that hasn't happened, but actually there was some moments when it did. There were some times when it actually did. But you need to go through that and stay within the understanding that there's a reason for that too. And it isn't that every day I'm going to wake up happy and smiling and beaming and life is going to be great. But it is that I understand there is a reason for everything. And as that age-old song or saying is, there's a reason, there's a season. And I think that's true. So for many of us, we are choosing happiness regardless of what is happening in the world. And I would like to applaud those of you who are doing that. But for some of us, we are choosing to be unhappy. And that is our God-given right to choose that. I just ask that if that's what's happening, that you manage to be unhappy, but not drown the others around you in unhappiness, because that's not helping you and it's not helping them. So I would like to say, please don't do that. Now, the other thing is, when you get ready to really work with this spiritual understanding, then you have to let go of yesterday. When you go to the spiritual understanding, it's okay to remember yesterday. It's fine. But you want to remember yesterday and be able to look at it with, so show me the meaning of what happened. Show me how this other person was reacting, that they could have been so cruel to me. Show me what was going on in their life. And you know what? That if you go to the Akashic Vibration, that information can be given to you. It can, because that's your life. And you can go and look at it and say, oh my goodness, I did not know that their parent was dying. I did not know that whatever. And you begin to know, and you begin to see, and it makes a little more sense, can make a little more sense. So the other thing that you begin to look at when you live this spirit-centered life is when you go forward and you find yourself at a point where you get a choice. Here I am living in this house that is making me miserable. I'm miserable every day. Why am I miserable because of this house? I love this house. Well, yeah, but maybe I'm miserable because I can't afford it. Because living in this house, then I can't go out to eat a couple times a week, and I want to. So you start to look at things and go, well, what's my choice here? My choice is I can live in this beautiful house, but really not have the money to do some of the other things I like. Or I could say, is it really that important for me to have this address, this size home, or would I prefer to have a little more freedom of knowing that I have some extra money coming in and it'd be kind of nice to play. I like to play. I don't want to be working 60 hours a week so that I can wear these clothes, I can drive this car, I can live in this house. That's not me. That could have been my mother. That was whatever programming I had. You begin to wake up to your own understanding. You begin to say, that's not me. That's not me. And when you realize you're getting to the not me, but I'm doing it anyway, then you come to another choice, another life path where you go, do I want to be happy in my decisions? Yes. And am I happy living in this big house, being married to my job for 60 weeks to something that I hate so that I can live in this big house? No. But I want to be happy? Well, then, what would it take for me to make a change here? And for a lot of us, we'll say, you know what, I don't want the responsibility or the pressure that this job gives me. I would rather have more freedom of time. And you find yourself then trying to explain to others when they say, oh my gosh, you're not going to give up that job, or oh my goodness, you're not going to go do that, or you're not going to live there anymore. And you realize all of that is nonsense. That's just other people's perceptions of who knows what. And it doesn't make any difference to you, because in the long run, the only thing that's going to matter, ever, that's really going to matter is you, your experiences, and the people that you loved. The experiences that you've had, and who have you loved? Who have you connected with? What have you done on that personal human level? It isn't going to be, I've lived in this big house and I managed to, I don't know what, save up $5 million so that when I die I have $5 million. No. Come on, really? No. It is going to be, great, live in a big house. Great, have $5 million. But did you also then enjoy that? Did you share that with anyone? Did you have some fun while you were doing it? Or was your life all about what I have to do, what I must do, what I'm supposed to do? If your life is all about what I must, what I should, what I'm supposed to, then I'm saying to you today, right here, right now, think that one over. Those are clear signs. You're not living your life. You're living someone else's. You're living somebody else's expectations. You're living some old programs. Somehow, something's happening, but it isn't through your own choices. Because if it were, you wouldn't be saying, I have to, I should, I must. You would be saying, I want to. I want to. This is my choice. I'm excited by this. And some people are greatly excited to work all the time as hard as they can because that's what gives them a pleasure. Good for them. Good for them. The world needs people like that. But the world needs dreamers too. Because every single thing that's in this material world, in this physical world, was first thought, was first imagined So we need people who can imagine. We need people who paint, who sculpt, who sing. And goodness, we'll always need people who write. Even if hardcover books are going away, paper books are going away, more and more writing is needed because people are absorbing knowledge faster than they ever have. Because that's what's out there for us. What are some of the questions that you have? I really would like to help. My guides and I would like to help. And so let me share with you once again. My name is Maggie Chula. You can find me on the internet, but know this. I have a website. It's called acenterforenlightenment.com, and you can find me there. I'm also on Facebook under Maggie Chula or Center for Light, CTR, the number 4, Light, Light. Whatever you do, wherever you go, I wish you the conscious understanding that you are a divine, beautiful being, and that the greatest gift God has given you and you have given yourself is the gift of fully living a conscious life in your world now, today. As you go through the days, the weeks, the months, all of the experiences that come to you, the things that jump out at you that you want to do, the things that are bothering you on your mind right now, if you could just take a few minutes of your time, connect up by breathing and visualizing yourself, connecting up to that beautiful energy of the universe, connecting up and knowing that as you breathe in, that beautiful energy is with you, is guiding you, is caring for you. Connect up to the wonderful love that's all around you, just for a moment or two every day, and then looking at your life. That's what I call spiritually centered, because now you've connected up with your spirit, up to your higher wisdom, and you allow a piece of yourself, that greater part of you that knows what's going on around you, that understands all the different dimensions of you. You're allowing that part to be with you and to share with you a connection. So wherever you are, breathe. Whoever you're with, as you're working through your life, let yourself be in the knowledge that you are a divine being, that all the people around you are divine, that every single one of us is on a life path that we've chosen before we incarnated, even those little beings, even the young ones, even your parents, all of us. And smile. Smile more. It has been scientifically proven that just by smiling, you can help your mind lighten up. You can help your attitude go into a lighter space. You can brighten your vibration. And you can make somebody else's day by smiling at them. So breathe and connect up to who you are really. Breathe in the understanding and the knowledge that there is a God, that there is a higher intelligence in the world, that you are connected to that beautiful wisdom of love and light. And be happy with who you are today and create the world that you wish to see with your mind, with your thoughts, with your intentions, today and every day. I wish you love. I wish you light. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful life. And if I can be of help to you in learning and understanding the things that are going on in your life, send me an email, contact me, go to my website. I would love to help you. Good night.